Morning guys, welcome to Flexible Dieting Friday, and today I'm going to give you 8 tips about how to eat out with a flexible dieting approach and still win at fat loss. So the key with sort of winning at fat loss, in my opinion, is to make things as least restrictive as you possibly can so that dietary adherence is still possible all the way through. So planning in things like meals out are a great way to keep yourself on track, still have a social life and still get amazing long-term results. So here are 8 tips to help you have meals out and still win at fat loss. So tip number 1, don't go for 3 courses, okay? Pick the main course and then have either a starter or a dessert, whichever your preference is. I've got a sweet tooth, I'll always go for the dessert. If you're more of a savoury person, pick the starter. That way you'll slightly reduce the calorie intake and it'll be less impactful on your results. Step 2, pick the main course you really want. Don't go for a salad because you're going to have a meal out, pay for it and hate it. Pick the main course you really want. If you want a steak, if you want a burger, go for it. If you want some pizza, fine. But what I would do is I'd swap the sides out. So if it comes with chips and potatoes and rich sauces like that, swap them for portions of vegetables, and you can double up with the vegetables so you get more food volume and you're going to slightly reduce the calorie intake of that meal. Tip 3, work out the weekly calorie deficit that you need, not the daily, the weekly. So your maintenance, for example, might be 2,000 calories, and let's say you want to lose a pound a week. You know you need to do a daily deficit of 500 calories a day, which is a weekly deficit of 3,500. As long as you hit that 3,500 calorie deficit in the week, you're going to be fine. So what's probably worth doing, instead of having 7 days at 500 calorie deficit, do 6 days at a 600 calorie deficit, and then when you go for your meal out, you've then allowed yourself to go back up to 2,000 calories, so you've got more calories to play with, which is going to be a lot easier to fit a meal in. Tip 4, work out on the day of your meal out. So the calorie burn from exercise isn't fantastic, it really isn't, but it will allow a little bit of leeway. My advice would be, if you do a body part split, would be do legs on the day of a meal out, because it's just slightly more calorie burn and it will just give you a little bit of leeway when it comes to the meal out. Tip 5, track, okay? Track the meal out as best you can. If the menu isn't on MyFitnessPal already, or the website doesn't have the calories put in, find the main ingredients of the meal. Pick worst case scenario on there. Don't pick the lowest calorie one on MyFitnessPal and try and kid yourself. Pick the highest calorie one, then you've planned for worst possible scenario and you still know where you stand in the week. Don't just ignore the fact that the meal didn't happen, because you won't know where you stand. So track the meal. Tip 6, look at the menu in advance. People are very bad if they have to make spur of the moment decisions. So look at the menu, see what you fancy, and then that way, you can already track it in, because if you know what you're going to have, track it in already and you've accounted for those calories. And it takes away that pressure decision making where you're going to throw a load of sides that you don't really need on there. So if you plan, you'll make better choices because you're not put under pressure on the spot. Also, when it comes to a meal out day, tip 7 would be to have higher protein, higher vegetable meals. So it could be like an omelette for breakfast or some bacon, something like that, chicken salad for lunch. What this does, it will keep you fuller and it keeps the calorie intake lower through the day as well. So you've got more to play with later in the day. And finally, tip 8, remember it's one meal out. If you do overshoot your calories, if you do have 3 courses, don't beat yourself up about it. It's one meal, okay? Yes, the weight is going to come up the next day. You're going to have an increase in glycogen, a retention of water. The scales are going to come up, of course they are. Rationalize that weight gain for those points and don't beat yourself up about it. If you're consistent in a deficit over the weeks and the months, you're gonna hit your goal. One meal where you go slightly higher isn't gonna destroy that, so don't let it get on top of you. I really hope that helps, guys. If you've got any more questions about this, or you want a bit of advice about how to make better choices, or you want me to look at a menu and help you make those decisions, drop it in the comments below, message me, and I'll get back to you. Have a good day, guys. See you later.